Welcome back to Unquiet You. Today we're kicking off February, a series I'm going to do multiple podcasts on different topics regarding love, whether it's relationships with friends, family, companions, finding your partner, all the things, your children too. This one is for people who want to really love deeply and people who love big, who love fully, and who love even when it hurts. The ones who believe in people, who see the good long before anyone else does, and who somehow keep their hearts open no matter how many times they've been disappointed. If this is you, this episode is going to feel like coming home to yourself and realizing the power you truly have inside. There are people in this world that maybe you're one of them, or maybe you know someone who is this way, who love with their entire soul, who give all of themselves in relationships, friendships, family, sometimes even, coworkers and into their relationships with work, their bosses, and a lot of times they'll get burned. Sometimes they get burned, right? Sometimes they get their hearts broken. Sometimes they give way more than they get in this relationship. But the truth of that is, and I would classify myself as one of these people, I love very deeply on all levels, no matter what. And this is where I have always struggled to know when to cut someone loose and when to love from a distance and when to walk away. The truth of all of this is that your heart is not the problem. If you are one of these people, your love is not too much. Loving fully is actually not a flaw. It's your gift. And if you have it, you should be very grateful that you have it. Today, I want to remind you why you should never let heartbreak or disappointment harden you. I hear this a lot in women when they're going through hard breakups and that sort of thing. They tend to harden, and I'll hear this a lot from men, and I've heard this about myself, where people will say, you're just cold and you're hard. And part of it is you do get to a place where you build up a wall, right? And you can get your heart broken so many times. And this does not have to just be a partner you're dating. It can be so many different people in your lives, friendships that go south, or, working environments, just so many different things, relationships with kids and all of the things. You do get to a place where you're like, I can't keep giving because I'm so tired of being hurt. And so you do put up walls. And I think this is for another topic, but I think that this is also why so many women are in their 40s and not married, and they don't have kids, and they are kind of hard. Like, they focused a lot on their career. They tend to be very intimidating to men at that point, because I think that they've had to do so much on themselves, and they've created an environment where they've protected their heart in a sense, but deep down their heart's actually broken, that they're not able to be open and vulnerable for a partner. I'm going to tell you a little personal story. I am a big lover. I love people very deeply. I believe in all people. I root for people, and I see their potential when they can't even see their potential. And sometimes this works great and sometimes it doesn't, because especially as a mom or as a friend, I can see things in other people that I just so desperately want them to see in themselves. Along with this, I've been hurt a lot. I've had a lot of friendships come and go. I've had, relationships, family members, just very different things throughout my life, that I go all in on someone and I don't get that back. And it does hurt. And I allow myself to be heartbroken. And that's an emotion that I've learned to work through. I've had a lot of people take advantage of the love that I give them. I've had a lot of people take advantage of me going out of my way, or me wanting to help them, or just different things, like me showing them true love and not getting it back. I've had a lot of people, I'm not going to say a lot, but I've had some people walk away. I've had people treat me in ways that I would never have treated them. But I've also, along the path of this, many, many years ago, I've decided that I would never let the world or heartbreak and disappointment make my heart smaller and make me love people less, because loving is kind of my superpower. It's how I it's just a gift that I've been given, is to love people no matter what, and to truly believe that I want to truly believe that deep down, everyone wants to love people and everyone wants to be loved. It's part of who I am. It's part of my purpose, I believe, while I'm here on this earth. And I don't want to become someone who closes off, holds back, or loves with conditions because of the people who didn't know how to handle my heart. So I don't want to base the love I give other humans on someone who couldn't handle my love, and so they broke my heart in some way or form. My love isn't necessarily fragile. It's not something that I'm like, I walk on eggshells around people or anything like that. It's resilient in the fact that I can love you fully and wholly for who you are, and you may walk away and you may not love me back and you may break my heart and show me disappointment, but I'm still going to bounce back because I'm resilient, and I'm going to keep loving people, and probably you to an extent, even if it's from a distance, because I just think there's so much more power in loving people than allowing them to harden me. So I talk a lot with my clients about unconditional lovers versus conditional lovers. And unconditional lovers are the ones who love without ever needing something in return. They don't like put you on a tally and like keep all the points of like what you're doing for them. And they don't base their love on that. They don't pull back when things start to get really uncomfortable. They go all in. And sometimes they go all in really quickly. And sometimes we have to build some trust, but we go all in. And we believe that deep, meaningful connections are where it's at. Like, I am not a small talk person. You'll very rarely ever see me make small talk, because if I ask someone a question, like, I genuinely want to know the answer, because I genuinely care about the person I'm asking a question to. Even if it is my barista at the coffee shop, like if I ask them how their day is or I ask them something about themselves, I genuinely want to know the answer. We let our hearts lead, even if it's scary. Like when I go into things or new relationships, friendships, all the things, like I go in with my heart first. Like I want to show up with my heart leading the conversation. That kind of love is very brave, I believe. I believe this kind of love is it's very vulnerable, right? Like you have to get out there and you have to be vulnerable in order to love this way. I think that it's very much an emotional strength that I have. I think it's part of being emotionally mature. I think that when you can see it as a superpower and not a weakness, I think some people will say, well, I don't want to show my cards, or I don't want to love this person too fast or too much, because if they break my heart, then I look weak. I think it's the opposite. I think no matter what happens on the other side, when you show up fully and love unconditionally, you will always win. Conditional lovers are people who I believe were loved conditionally as a child, first and foremost. I think that they probably were raised in a situation where they had to do something in order to receive love back. I believe that they can love you to a point, but they're not vulnerable enough to go all the way in. It's like they will show you love and they will show up, but at some point when it gets uncomfortable, they're going to put a wall up. I think that they need things to feel really safe before they can open up. And so they tend to hold back a lot more, waiting for you to do something, but they don't even know what that something is all the time. I think that they're really quick to say hurtful things in a disagreement or an argument. I think that anytime emotions come up or thoughts and feelings are starting to play into a conversation, they will freeze up and they'll walk away, or they'll end the conversation, or they'll leave. I think that this happens a lot because they shut down because they don't want to open that vulnerable part of them and take that risk of showing their true heart. I think that they keep the wall high enough to where they get to stay in control. Kind of like this happens a lot. Like if you're starting to date someone and maybe you're like, oh, we're clicking, we're like having fun. And then you have your first little disagreement or your first like and, you know, like you feel different about something and then all of a sudden they ghost you or they're like, hey, this isn't going to work out. I see that as a gift because those are people who have walls up. Those are people who are very conditional. Those are people who are like, as long as you make me feel happy, I'm going to lean into this. But the minute you ask me a hard question or you make me feel an emotion that's uncomfortable, I'm out. I think that conditional lovers are not bad people at all. I think that they're just very guarded, and I do believe that it comes from the way we were taught to love growing up, and or we do the opposite of the way we were taught to love growing up, right? Like I think unconditional and conditional can go either way. It's either like how we were taught growing up, or we decided growing up as we became adults that we wanted to do it differently. And so I think that you can switch. I just think a lot of times people are not taught how to be emotionally mature. And I don't think a lot of people are taught how to be vulnerable and that it's actually a power, not a weakness. I think that they protect themselves a lot when you are a conditional lover. I think whether it's, you know, your past wounds or it's just being vulnerable, or I think it's the uncertainty of things. I think a lot of people freeze if there's uncertainty because they don't want to come out and say how they truly feel, because what if that's not how you feel? And then they're going to feel heartbroken. I think conditional lovers love to avoid being heartbroken, and the way that they do it is with a wall. And I think that one of the biggest differences is that unconditional love just flows. It's just there. It's going to be there no matter what. Like I tell my kids all the time, like I will love you to my core no matter what. And there are times in my relationships with kids and different, you know, people in my past and even people now where it's not always comfortable. And like there are really hard conversations that have to be had, but I never stop the flow of love. It is always in everything that I do and every day that I show up. It's out of genuine love inside my heart. I believe that conditional love is kind of calculated. I believe they know going in their limits. I believe they know going into any relationship that if this person doesn't do X, Y, and Z, or if this person does X, Y, and Z, this is what's going to happen with my love and attention. And I think that it's kind of a job for them, where unconditional lovers, I don't think we think about it. It's just in our everyday world. We don't think, there is no calculation to it. And I think sometimes we can all be, I think sometimes even me as an unconditional lover, like there are certain people in my life where I can see that wall coming up and I have to remind myself that this isn't who I am, and it doesn't matter what their response is or how they're showing up. Like I know inside of me how I want to show up and who I want to become. I also think it's interesting. Like I always tell my kids as they start to date and get serious in relationships that really, really watch that, because if someone is conditionally loving you, if they're saying things to you like, if you do this, I'll love you, or if you do this, that means you don't love me, that to me is major, major red flag, because that is a very conditional lover. That is saying, as long as you make me feel good and you do the things I want, I will show you love. That to me is not actually real love. So if you want to go all in and be an unconditional lover, I want you to know that loving fully is very, very powerful. It is not foolish. It is so powerful. And anyone can love when it's easy, but the person who keeps their heart open and who can stay soft in this world of constantly, having negative things thrown at us. And it's so easy, the world we live in, and relationships and things to really be hard. I do believe it's easier now to open social media and find 20 reasons why we should be really hard and not love and be negative about things. But I think that if you can keep your heart open and you can believe that you are worthy of loving all people and loving yourself so much, even after a disappointment or even after things that you don't agree with, I think that is such a courageous thing to do. And I think that, ultimately, I think it makes us happier. I think it makes us healthier. I think that we don't carry the stress. We don't have this negativity inside of us. And I think that we just love bigger. And I think that we're attracted. I think more people are attracted to us energetically this way. I think that you have to remember, as an unconditional lover, you're not trying to earn something. You're not trying to get something in return. You're just showing up as the best version of you. And you're showing up as someone that people can always count on. And that is truly, truly a gift. So if you want to do a little check-in and kind of decide that to kind of see where you're at on the level of conditional lover versus unconditional lover, a few questions to ask yourself are, do I only offer affection when I feel completely safe? And do I offer affection when I feel vulnerable, or do you lock up and kind of freeze? Do I pull back my love the moment someone doesn't respond the way I want to? I think that's a key one. Because if you notice yourself pulling back the minute someone says something that you don't agree with, or that's not serving you in that moment, I think that's a really good check-in. Do I love from generosity or from the fear that they won't love me back? Do I give my heart with exceptions attached? Meaning, is there something in return you have to have? I will love this person until this, or I will give this person all of me until they do this. I think this is different than boundaries. This is when you are a conditional lover, you're doing it more out of fear than setting a boundary for yourself. Do I shut down or run when emotions get deep? I think this is a really good one too. Do I say hurtful things to protect myself? I hear this a lot, especially in people who are dating. This comes up a lot in coworkers too, honestly. But when people feel attacked, like they feel like they're emotionally being attacked, or like their heart is being hurt in some way, they're really quick with the name calling. They're really quick with just saying mean, nasty things to someone to make them feel bad. And to me, that is a really big wake-up call that if that's something that you do, it's time to check in. I've said this before, but I do not believe in name calling. I think it's tacky, but I also think that all you're doing is you're trying to protect yourself from feeling something. And as much of a lover as I am in general, like I couldn't imagine ever hurting someone with words and name calling. I think it's such a waste of all the things. Do I withhold love as a way to control the situation? This is a big one. And I think too, what's even bigger with this question is ask yourself if you do this, but ask yourself if your partner does this to you. I think this is a big one I see a lot. And do I accept the person I love, or am I trying to change them? This is another one, right? Especially when we're young women, we like to try and do this, right? We're going to fix the world. We're going to fix these men. I think that this is a big one, because when you love fully, you're loving that person fully and you're not trying to change them. I think your answers will tell you a lot, because the way that you love others mirrors the relationship that you have with yourself. So answer those questions and check in with yourself, because that will show you a lot about how you're actually loving yourself. So if you want to build unconditional love in a healthy, grounded way without being walked on and without losing yourself, and abandoning your own needs, with being able to set boundaries and know that like you're worthy of this, you have to really build your self-trust. I think this is key, that you can't love unconditionally if you don't trust yourself, because it's not unconditional access that people have, right? They can't walk all over you. It's knowing that you can love fully, but you also know that you're trusting yourself enough that if I need to walk away, I need to walk away. Or if something isn't serving me anymore, or if it's painful to me, or if they're hurting me in any way, like I need the trust to know that I can walk away, and I may be heartbroken or disappointed, but I'm going to be okay because I trust inside of me enough. One of the things that you can repeat to yourself is that I can love big and still protect my peace. I think about this often, and this is one of the lines that I actually have in a journal entry of mine, is that especially when I'm dealing with someone who maybe has hurt me in some way or another, is that I remind myself that I can still love them very, very big, but I can still protect my peace and know when I need to put the boundary back in place. You speak your heart into real time. Unconditional lovers often bottle things up because they don't want to rock the boat. But if we can learn to say what we feel as we feel it, that's your voice being part of your love. And I mean, I'm 100% at fault with this. I did this for very, very many years of my life where I would just bottle things up because I didn't know how to stand up for myself. And the fact, I think I didn't have the self-trust in myself to know that if I spoke my truth to this person, that no matter how they would respond, I would be okay. And I think that part of loving and being a loving person is being able to not hold things in and say things and trust that I'm genuinely opening up. I think that remembering boundaries are part of unconditional love is huge because boundaries that is our protection. That is our accountability. That is letting people know that letting ourselves know as well that like we will give and give and give, but there are boundaries and there are certain things of disrespect that we will no longer accept. I think that if you can learn to love because it's just who you are, not because it's earned, I think you'll see a huge shift in the way that you look at relationships all across the board. And I think that if you can learn, this was a really hard one for me. If you can learn that the way someone else loves you has nothing to do with you and it is their own capacity, then you're able to understand that your love is enough, right? Like you loving yourself and showing up fully and genuinely, that's enough. Your love is not based on what someone else's capacity to love you back is. I think a lot of times we think, well, maybe we're not loving them enough, or maybe we're loving them the wrong way, or maybe we need to do more, where it's just that's their capacity and it has nothing to do with you. So I would also say, like, keep your heart open, keep your standards very high. I'm very big on my high standards, but I want you to know that you can be unconditionally an unconditional lover and still have boundaries, still not tolerate disrespect, still show yourself the love first, because that is what is going to help you love other people to your full potential. So if you are someone who loves deeply, if you're someone who wants to love deeply, I say jump in and do this work. I think that figuring out if you're an unconditional or conditional lover, I don't think either is right or wrong. It's not a negative thing to be a conditional lover. Sometimes it's understanding the awareness of it and understanding that you want to be an unconditional lover. And so you can start taking these steps, answer these questions, and have a conversation with yourself. This is a lot of the work we do on one-on-one coaching. Pretty much every one of my clients that come in are unconditional lovers deep down, but they've been conditioned to think differently or to love differently, or they've been loved by a conditional lover for so long, they forgot what an unconditional love can look like. I also think that when relationships either start or are coming to an end, those two dynamics play a massive role in it. And so if you have decided that you want to be an unconditional lover, I think this is a great year for you to step into that and start by loving yourself first. So
thanks for being here and for choosing to be a little louder, a little braver, and a whole lot more you. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with someone who needs it. Until next time, keep tuning in to the fire inside. Stay unquiet.